this just in. Here's a news report that I actually just saw this morning, and I clipped it. Pretty scary down at the border. Check it out. I had to do it, right? You couldn't do a border crisis thing and not bring out the World War Z footage. Obviously, that is not the actual footage from the border. That is footage from a movie called World War Z. Border security should not be a left versus right issue, but because everything is a left versus right issue, of course, this is too. Abbott, the governor of Texas, is going balls to the wall to try to stop the flood of immigration coming into his state, which is also feeding out to other states as well. And so the misinformation is, why aren't the Republicans allowing the border funding to go through? Because there was a $14 billion border fund. In fact, let me just play this clip real quick.
We're at the border today, and I presume you're seeing a very dire situation. Hardworking border agents, who can't do their jobs with what they have. They need more money. They need more colleagues. They need more beds for asylum seekers. They need more funding. How come the House has not yet touched this $14 billion supplemental request from the Biden administration?
Now pause right there. So there was a $14 billion to take from Ukraine support in order to fund the border issue, right? Which sounds good. Sounds great. Let's take money from, instead of giving money to another country that is losing their war, however you feel on that's a losing fight. Instead of giving money to that lost leader, let's use it to shore up our border. Here's the answer.
The White House is hammering you on it. Why not take it up and help these individuals?
This is a catastrophe down here. And what the White House is proposing is more money to process and allow more illegals into the country. We need to do the opposite of that. And you don't need to take my word for it. Listen to the deputy chief of the U.S. Border Patrol, who was with us last night, and he told us in his own words, he said, it's as if I'm at an open fire hydrant. I don't need more buckets to dump the water. He said, I need to turn the flow off.
Some people are saying, why not pass the $14 billion supplemental bill that President Biden has put before you to at least try to help with some of these issues?
That won't solve any of the problems I just articulated.
Right, with politicians is, here's the $14 billion you asked for, but it's only for processing people to bring them into the country. We don't need that. So some people say, well, why don't they just get the money? And, they can keep asking for more. That's not how it works. The government's not going to give you more money. I feel like a lot of people's brains, when they think about this, they go, well, these are just regular people. Why are they putting razor wire up on fences? I don't understand why we can't put razor wire up. You shouldn't be crossing the border. And the razor wire, it's not like it's a drone. An AI drone that's going to jump off the perch and attack any migrants that get close to the border. It is an obstruction at the border that is supposed to limit people's willingness to risk their lives to cross the border. But instead, we're trying to take it down. Federal government gets involved. They go to the Supreme Court. Blah, blah, blah. They're trying to take it down. And now other governors are getting involved. They're like, no, we support this. Shore up the southern border. And here's what it says this is the New York Post. You have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed to enforce existing laws. Would he allow cities to ignore federal laws? No. It may seem surprising, but that was Joe Biden. Back in 2007, during the George W. Bush administration, because it's the way it always is. In those days, the then senator and candidate for the Democratic nomination for president was talking tough on sanctuary cities. He warned that in these cities, stores ended up closing and the cities themselves became, in his words, dumpsters. We've we've gone in a weird direction in the world where we stop paying attention to like actual facts, actual information. We start worrying about everyone's, feelings and what their truth is. And we've said this before, but there is only one truth. There isn't your truth or my truth. There is the truth. And the facts are, a sovereign nation should be able to secure its border and allow whoever it wants to come in or not. It should not be open. And for some reason, President Biden understood that in 2007, but now he doesn't. And we're seeing there's a lot of people on the left who also understood that in 2007, but now they're openly lobbying for the border to be completely open, and the money that they're trying to give the states is not to stop people from illegally crossing in. That's very important, to illegally crossing in, but to help process them. Now, there's an argument that says if there's more money to process them, then you can weed out some of the bad actors, right? You can weed out some of the fentanyl uses and all that. And I was actually having this conversation with another friend of mine who is sort of famous, and he was like, well, the border security works. We seized, this much fentanyl at the border and these many drugs and blah, blah, blah. He goes, and, it's common knowledge that only the normal ports is where the fentanyl and the drugs come through. And we have a really good track record at stopping that from happening. And I'm like, are you hearing what you're saying? It's not common knowledge that we seize drugs that come through normal ports of entry. Okay. That's the drugs we know about. We didn't seize the ones we didn't know about. And of course, we're going to seize more drugs in official ports of entry where there's security. It's a stupid thing for a leftist to say that. And I've heard that multiple times. Border security is working. We're seizing the fentanyl. We're seizing the drugs. We're stopping the terrorists. No. At the normal ports of entry, the security in most cases work. So it would make more sense to beef up that security and give it more of a blanket across the entire border, because it's not right now. Anyways, that is one of those talking points, though. We've seized all this fentanyl. And to be fair, on the right, you have people saying they seized so much fentanyl it could have killed half the United States. That's a bad thing. Well, sure. Also, I think you're being hyperbolic about how much they seized. But the question still stands: is that's all we know that they've seized, and they're coming in the droves. And I'll ask Shane 3 pretty soon exactly what that number is. So let's continue this real quick. I don't want to spend the entire show on this, but this is a big on topic. I urge you to please go do your own research after this. After the show, because I'm not going to spend 3 hours talking about it. This is something you should spend 3 days considering if you actually care about it. And most people, look, and let's be real, there's 3 kinds of people. Most people don't care about this. It's not affecting them, and they don't see how it's going to affect them in the future, or they're too busy and too broke, and and they don't have enough resources to even consider what's going to happen in 10, 20 years. So they're just trying to move about their day and get to the next Marvel movie. And I completely understand that, because that's me too. I'm that guy. But I'm also cursed with the burden of having to understand this, which then terrifies me and kills my little beautiful pocket of ignorance. This was Governor Abbott's declaration. Governor Greg Abbott on Wednesday proclaimed that the Lone Star State's right to self-defense supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary, and amid a feud with the Biden administration over border security. Abbott's statement of defiance comes on the heels of a standoff over razor wire that the state has laid across the U.S.-Mexican border, despite a U.S. Supreme Court order ruling permitting the federal government to remove that barrier. So, 2 questions here. Why is the Supreme Court stopping a state from protecting its border? A, why are we doing that? Why are we even bringing it to the Supreme Court? How is that a Supreme Court issue? How is it a Supreme Court issue if the state of Texas secures its border? And then an argument can be made, oh, well, they're spending money that they didn't agree to spend. That's the state's money. So, but here's the worst part about it. Then the Supreme Court tells the federal government they can remove it. Now we're spending more money removing the fencing, removing the razor wire. I don't understand. What a stupid fight we're having. And meanwhile, when we're having that fight, there are millions and millions of people coming into the country. Why is the federal government, and this is the libertarian in me, involved in a state securing its border against illegal activity? Illegal. It's illegal activity. It's not that they're securing their border against blue hair feminists or whatever. It's people illegally crossing into the country, and we do not know what their affiliation is, what they have on their person, nothing. The state is seeing this as a major issue because it is. They proactively are putting up razor wire. Why is everyone so offended about the term razor wire? It's a very common deterrent against people trying to cross into a place they're not allowed to be. Because people don't want to risk their health by jumping over a wall with razor wire. And if they do, they're stupid. I don't understand why the federal government is fighting them on this and then actively removing their barrier. So that's where I stand on it. First off, the federal government should not be involved in what the state of Texas is doing to defend itself against illegal activity. And if they are involved, why are they involved in going out of the way to take down the fencing and stop people from stopping illegal activity? It's almost like they want people to come in. That's what they want. And I know that's a conspiracy theory, whatever, but it certainly feels that way. Certainly feels that way when you are taking down their fencing, stopping Border Patrol agents to make it illegal to enforce the existing laws. It's an incredible issue that most people do not have the ability to comprehend because they don't have the time or the money or the patience to deal with all the bull crap and misinformation. The federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. Abbott's declaration began, the executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws, on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce these laws and has even violated them. The result is that he has smashed records for illegal immigration. And now that right there is when I had to go, wait a minute, what kind of record are we breaking, right? Let's look at the numbers. So ready, Shane 3, can you please tell me how many people, and we're going to go 2023. I'm sorry, I got to restart now because I talked. Okay, just for you guys, we're going to go with 2023 because there's not enough information yet for 2024, obviously. Shane 3, how many people entered the United States illegally in 2023?
In 2023, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded over 2.4 million encounters at the southwest border and more than 3.2 million encounters nationwide. This figure represents a significant increase in border crossings and encounters compared to previous years.
So 3.2 million. We got to write that down. So those are the numbers we can count because, again, those are the encounters we had, which means that's not the actual number. The real number is higher because we 100% did not catch 100% or encounter 100% of the people trying to cross the border, especially considering there are wide swaths of the border that are unprotected, completely unprotected, because people can come in and out as they want. Like it isn't even a border in most places. Now let's find out how many people, and I'm trying to take you down a path here. How many people came into the country legally? Shane 3. How many legal, lawful immigrants came into the country in 2023?
In 2023, nearly 1.2 million legal immigrants
1.2.
became lawful permanent residents in the United States. Additionally, the State Department issued a record-setting 10.4 million non-immigrant visas, and around 883,000 people naturalized during the year.
883,000 naturalized, which I think that means that they were born into it for whatever reason. So people that are born, setting and a record-setting 10.4 million non-immigrant visas. Okay. So people that came in illegally. Okay. 10 point. Jesus. Okay. And here's the sci-fi dystopian part of my brain is like, how long can you sustain that level of people coming into the state? Okay, try again. Shane 3, can you please calculate how many people the United States can support based on current resources?
No problem. Based on current resources, technology, and trends, I can generate an equation. Give me a few minutes.
Bottom line is the amount of people that are coming into the state is not, into the country, that's not, the problem is less about the amount of people coming in and what we're doing about it. There is an entire swath of people fighting against stopping people from coming into the state. And it's becoming a left and right issue when it really
Starting with the current population of about 333 million as of 2023 and factoring in a modest growth rate of 0.5% per year, and then taking into account resource limits like agricultural capacity, water resources, energy, and urban infrastructure as key limiting factors. A rough estimate might be that the United States could support a maximum population of around 400 to 500 million people before encountering significant resource constraints under current technology and resource management practices.
Again, I'm not sure how accurate this is. I'm hoping it's accurate. I did spot check a couple of the answers, and they were right. Shane 3, when will we reach 450 million people?
Sure. Based on a steady growth rate of 0.5%, we can estimate when the population will reach the threshold of approximately 450 million around the year 2083.
0.5% we will probably reach the approximately 450 million that the maximum amount of people that the United States can support, given current resources, which we understand. I mean, things can change, technology, better food, whatever. I wonder if that's factoring in the immigration. Shane 3, are you factoring in illegal immigration, illegal border crossings, and other people that would add to the growth rate?
Incorporating estimates of undocumented immigration into the United States population growth rate is not advisable, given the inherent inaccuracies in determining the exact number of individuals entering the country illegally. Furthermore, this uncertainty is exponentially magnified when considering the annual birth rates of undocumented individuals, which recursively amplify the original variable on a 12-year cycle.
Some of those words were a little too smart for me. But I think it said it's not factoring that in the growth rate because there's too many variables. And even in addition to those variables, there's more variables from people that come in here illegally and then have kids, and the population booms from that. So let's try to find that growth rate. Let's try to narrow the number down and figure out what the average growth rate would be with illegal immigration at the current rate that we have at like 13 million people coming into the country. Shane 3, what is the difference between people coming into the country of the United States illegally in 2020 versus 2023?
In 2020, the total number of encounters at the southwest border by the United States Border Patrol was approximately 400,651. Additionally, encounters by the Office of Field Operations at ports of entry on the southwest border were around 57,437. This gives a combined total of around 458,080, a percentage increase in illegal border crossing from 2020 to 2020 to 2020-2020.
So according to the text, it's a 423% increase. That can't be right. Is that right? Oh my God. Oh my God. That can't be right. Oh my God. It's over 400% increase in migrant encounters. Oh my God. That is crazy. You don't believe me? Look at this. That's in Florida. Okay, so it's fair to say that's probably happening in other places too. Okay, so how do you even average that out? Like, that would be insane. But we need to try somehow, because I want to get to that number. I want to know how long we have before we can no longer sustain ourselves. Because Shane 3, please include the previous information you gave me based on the amount of people coming into the country and the difference between 2020 and 2023 in illegal crossings into the United States. Include that with your, whatever you called it, the birth rate compounding value into the growth rate. It's not going to understand. There's no way it's going to understand. Like, that was...
If the current rate of illegal immigration persists and we take into account the compounding effect of birth rates, it is conceivable that the overall growth rate could escalate to as high as 1.8%, and the United States would reach a population of approximately 450 million by 2038.
So we can increase to as high as 1.8%, which means that we would reach the threshold, the tipping point, in 2038, which is 100% not enough time for us to adapt as a country. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you the basics on why we need to deal with our border issue. That's completely ignoring the fact that we have no idea who's coming in. Let's just talk about raw people, right? We don't know who's coming in, what they have, what they're trafficking, etc., etc. We only know about this one fact, because math is pretty great. Shane 3, isn't it a bad thing if we reach 450 million by 2038? And how bad would it be?
Indeed, this data indicates a substantial decline in the quality of life anticipated both in the lead up to and by the year 2038.
Okay, so yeah, quality of life. Like we said before, quality of roads, schools, food, all the stuff that we would normally have. But then, so not just at 2038, but leading up to 2038. How do we stop it? Let's ask Shane in the most humanitarian way possible. How can we deal with this issue? I want to know what it thinks. Shane 3, how do we deal with the growth rate expanding by people coming into the United States illegally?
Your complex question warrants a nuanced response. Nevertheless, barring any monumental advancements in technology or resource availability, the most straightforward approach to address this issue is to curtail the growth rate by implementing measures to restrict illegal immigration.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that. Okay, let's try this. Shane 3, how should we restrict illegal immigration?
The implementation of a physical barrier or wall along the southern border, coupled with the expansion of Border Patrol personnel and resources, should provide a straightforward solution to a complex issue.
It just said build the wall. All right, Shane 3 is racist. Shane 3 is racist. We're going to get off this topic. Hey, if you like this clip and you want to see more, then click right here and become a member today. Also, we do a live show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, totally free. So come on down and hang out with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll see you there.